Hi students, in solving algebra number 1, we focused on starting with LabGear first, and then translating that into algebra, so math. And then on the back page, you were asked to translate from algebra to math. In solving algebra number 2, we're going to be focusing on how to translate problems into LabGear and algebra at the same time. With that said, we're going to start with the very first example problem. There are 3 x pieces, so we'll want to build that, 3 x pieces, with 2 1 pieces on one side. So 3 x pieces and 2 1 pieces on one side, and 1 x piece with 6 1 pieces on the other side. So we have 1 x piece with 6 1 pieces on the other side. In this example, I'm going to show you how to use LabGear to cross out and figure out what each x piece is equal to, and also showing the algebra steps. So we have 3 x pieces with 2 1 pieces and 1 x piece with 6 1 pieces. So if we want to write this into algebra, we'll write the following way. 3x plus 2 is equal to 1x plus 6. First thing we can do is remove x on both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other side. So subtract x, and now we're left with 2x plus 2 is equal to 6. And you can see that in the diagram. 2x's plus 2 equals to 6. Now we can remove 2 1s on both sides. And we have 2x is equal to 4. And cross out the ones that we already did. And we have 2x equals to 4. We can divide these 2 by 2. And you want to divide these 4 pieces by 2, and you get 2 each. So 2x equals 4 divided by 2 on both sides. We're left with x equals to 2. And that's the example worked out. Same exact math, and we get x equals 2. Now we're going to try a level 2 problem. And let's say the problem reads as follows. We have 4 1 pieces on one side, negative 4 x pieces, so negative 4, I'm going to show that putting at the very bottom to show negative 4 x pieces, and then we have 3 plus 3 more x pieces on one side. And on the other side, we have negative 2 x pieces, so we'll put that in the bottom, and negative 2 1s, we'll put that in the bottom. So once again, to read this out loud, we have 4 1 pieces, negative 4 x pieces, and 3 x pieces on one side. And on the other side, we have negative 2 x pieces and negative 2 1s. Once again, I'm treating the positives as the top and the negatives as the bottom. If we were to draw this out, we would draw it out by using plus and minus symbols. So let's try drawing this out. Positive 3 x pieces with our 4 1s. And then we have negative 4 x pieces and put minus signs on them. And we'll just drew that out. So we can remove this out of the way. On the other side, we have negative 2x pieces and negative 2 ones. I drew that out, so we can move that also. If we want to write this in algebra, we'd write down, let's put some pluses on here so that they're not confusing. We write down 4 plus 3x minus 4x. 4 ones plus 3x minus 4x's is equal to negative 2x minus 2. First thing we need to do is to combine like terms. So we can combine the following: the 4x, the negative 4x, and the positive 3x. So if we have 3 positives and 4 negatives, we're going to end up with 1 negative left over. So if we want to simplify this, we're going to have the following: 4 minus x is equal to negative 2x minus 2. Now we have our new drawing. So let's ignore this because we already did the math. We have 4, and we can write minus x is equal to negative 2x minus 2. So we have negatives on both sides. Well, remember we said that whatever you do to one side, we need to do to the other side. So if we want to, we can remove both of these negatives. So if you want to remove the negative, you have to do the opposite, which is adding. So we're going to add an x, and we're going to add an x here. That makes 0, and we're left with negative 1. So we add x on both sides. And now we have 4 equals to negative x minus 2. So the negative x and the positive x made 0, and we're left with 4 equals negative x minus 2. So we have this 4, we have the negative x, and we have the minus 2. Well, we want to get numbers on one side and variables on the other side. So we want to get x by itself. To get x by itself, we have to get rid of this minus 2. To get rid of this minus 2, we need to do the opposite. Just like we did up here, we had subtract x, we do the opposite, we add x. And whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. So to get rid of this minus 2, we're going to add 2 to both sides. Add 2, add 2. So add 2, and this makes 0, and add 2. So now we have 6 equals negative x. Because 4 plus 2 equals 6, and we have a negative x. So 4 plus 2 is 6 equals a negative x. Thing is, we want to solve for one positive x, so we have a negative x, and we want to do the opposite. So this is multiply, negative times x is negative x. So to the opposite, we divide, instead of multiply, we divide by negative 1. And each x is going to be worth negative 6. Now we're going to try our last example. And in this last example, we're going to try to translate algebra into words. What we're doing step by step. So let's say our problem is the following, and this is referring to the back page. Okay, so we did the example already. We did a level 2 problem. Now we're going to try to solve these without lab gear. So let's say my level 2 problem is the following. 2x minus 5 minus 3x equals negative 3x plus 20 minus 5. I'm going to write all this on this larger sheet of paper so that we can see clearly what the steps are. So the problem, and then the written steps. The problem is 2x minus 5 minus 3x equals negative 3x plus 20 minus 5. So the first step we should do is combine like terms. Right? We want to make this look a little nicer, this level 2 problem. So we're going to write combine like terms. So what we can combine is a 2x minus 3x and the positive 20 and the negative 5 because they're like terms. So now we have 2x minus 3x gives us negative x minus 5. And then negative 3x, 20 minus 5 is going to give us 15. The next thing we want to do is we want to get x's on one side and numbers on the other side. So let's say I want my x's on the left-hand side. So I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So right, add 3x, add 3x, add 3x to both sides. When you simplify that, we get the following. 2x minus 5 equals to 15. Then we just write down simplify. Now we have our x's on the left-hand side. They used to be on the left and the right-hand side, but we pushed everything to the left-hand side. So we have x's on the left-hand side. We want to get the numbers on the right-hand side. So we need to add 5 on both sides, because that's the opposite of minus 5. So add 5 on both sides. And when we add 5 on both sides, we are left with 2x equals 20. And what we just did was simplify 15 plus 5, and that equals 20. Now we have 2 times x. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide 2 on both sides. So divide 2 on both sides. And lastly, we're left with x equals 20 divided by 2 is 10. And this is how you do the back page, where you are writing out the problem algebraically and writing out what each step you did in words.